Hi, my name is Ray Wayne Gonzalez, and welcome to Things You Pretend to Know About, where we talk about things that you think you might know, but really you have no idea.
Things you pretend to know about. Things you pretend to know. Things you pretend to know about. Things you pretend to know.
Hey, welcome to Things You Pretend to Know About. So today on the show, we have Nico Ferrandino, who is our special guest, and he's talking about what it's like to be a Trump supporter in 2018 and why he voted for Trump. And alongside Nico and me, we have Elena Castriota, who's one of my good friends for a long time. She has always been one of the smartest people I've known, if not the smartest person I know, especially when it comes to politics, because I really have no fucking idea what I'm talking about, hence the point of this show. So a few disclaimers. In the show, I mentioned how Nico not only is my friend, but is Dane Bull, my boyfriend's best friend. And I just wanted to make it clear that what Nico says in this podcast does not reflect any of Dane's beliefs, nor does it mine, obviously. But Dane wasn't here to talk for himself. And I just want to make it clear that just because two people have a human connection doesn't mean that they have to agree on everything. At a certain point, human connection goes over politics, and that's kind of why I wanted to have this podcast, because I do feel that like people are, and I personally, a lot of people I know disagree with me, but personally I feel that people are innately good, and we know Nico as good. He's a good person. He is a gentleman. He is, would help his friends, help his family. He's such a family man. He's intelligent. He's kind, and he's funny. He's funny as fuck. So I just want to, but of course, all those things, but I, don't agree with a lot of things he said in this podcast, like most things that he said in this podcast, but I wanted to hear him out because this podcast isn't about debating. This isn't a debate podcast. Do we get a little, not confrontational, but combative towards Nico? Yeah, sure. Of course we do. But that's just natural. The whole point of the show is to listen to people, because I feel like a lot of the time we're just biting each other's heads off when we're just talking over each other, and we don't just stop and listen to people. And not that I'm going to change that, but I think it's important to stop and listen to people with varying beliefs. And again, that being said, Dane runs a charitable apparel company, Blue Couch, New York, if you want to, look into that. But he runs a charitable apparel company that totally combats everything that Trump believes, at least in my opinion. So they don't talk about politics because they know they don't agree on it, but they have a soul connection, absolutely. And I think that's okay. Of course, like, we love hanging out with Nico, and especially he does. And it's just, it doesn't, at a certain point, people are people, and people are people over politics, I think, to a certain extent. And I know that to be the case for Nico. So just keep that in mind, of course. I think it was a really good discussion. I really never took the time out to talk to a Trump supporter. I really never did. And so it was interesting, and it was eye-opening, and it was a good conversation. And I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you think about it rationally, and just absorb it as you wish. All right. Love you guys. Thanks. Bye. Are we ready?
Yeah.
What's recording?
Fuck it, let's go.
Okay. So, hi.
Nah.
Welcome to my podcast. Don't be a dick. Because I'm probably going to that dick. Yeah, disclaimer, you know, we all love you, but
Yeah, I got you.
he has a Fox News and Chill shirt on, so my feelings might change. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so we're going to talk about how you're a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
Which is not in my world at all. Not a lot of people I know are Trump supporters, but you're Dane Bull, my boyfriend's
Oh
best
shit,
friend.
you're out him right now.
I mean, everyone knows
Just
probably.
name dropping that
Well, like,
your
you know,
boyfriend's best friend's Trump supporter.
That's okay. He would literally die for you. Like,
Yeah, that's why we're building shelves later.
Yeah, there you go. But, you know,
That's not a euphemism.
that's real life. But yeah, so I have a few questions here that I wanted to ask. Oh, and we're with Elena Casciata. She's gonna be our political.
Resident Marxist.
Yeah.
What?
I'm not. I don't want to define my political views right now.
All right.
We're talking about you, not me.
Oh, this is about me? Okay.
Our politics specialist moving forward.
Gotcha.
So how long have you identified as a Republican?
I don't know. Ever since I started following politics, I guess.
And do you think that was like your own decision, or was that based like?
No, I mean
influenced by
that
your
no one
parents?
makes their own decision when it's like that young of an age.
Yeah, of
I
course.
would say it was probably, I don't know, it was pretty young, like 10 years old. Like I was really into it, and at that age, no, I didn't make up my own mind. I was
Right.
listening to what my parents said,
Yeah.
and or like friends, but I think it wasn't until I don't know, maybe sophomore year of like high school where because I remember my brother. Well, I'm not going to say his name because he actually has.
Do you not want me to out your full name on this?
No. Just don't out my brother.
Yeah, of
That's
course.
it.
I won't.
Because you already know why. I'm not even. Gonna
I
say
do
it.
know why.
I don't want to piss him off,
Mm-hmm.
but I remember he was talking to one of our friends' fathers, and yeah, I almost said his name, but let's just call him Guy.
Guy.
Right? So Guy
Guy Fieri.
Yeah, Guy Fieri, my brother.
We don't want to out Guy Fieri.
can't out
Falsely
Guy Fieri.
accuse him either.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's alright.
So he just like he likes being a contrarian, kind of. Like my family liked the Yankees, so he was just a Mets fan, right? That's just the way he was. So he did the same thing with like politics. Like my parents are both Republican, and he just decided he wanted to be a Democrat. He was like, "Fuck it, I'm a Democrat."
Yeah.
I can curse on this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah.
All right, cool. And he said something to my friend's father, and my friend's father was like, "Well, why? Like, why are you a Democrat?"
Yeah.
And obviously, my brother didn't have it. He didn't know. He was just saying it.
Sure.
But then that made me realize, like, I don't know why I'm a Republican either, right? So I kind of looked into it, and I would say that's kind of when I started making up my own. It was probably a little biased because I was like, I already considered myself as a Republican, so I was just kind of finding ways to support why I was already right.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody does that though. But I think it goes back a little more deeper than that, like how my family raised me, like not political, just kind of how,
Yeah.
with work and everything, stuff like that. I'll get into that later, but yeah, it was, at first, no, it wasn't my decision. But then when I consciously thought about it, and right now I kind of don't think of myself as a Republican. I really don't know like a term. It would be like half libertarian, half Republican. I feel like a lot of the landscape has changed now. It's not just Democrat and Republican anymore.
Yeah.
It's like that's just the faces of the two parties.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is the only things that exist.
So, Elena, you want to be like you in an ideal world. You were saying earlier, we were talking earlier that you want to be a libertarian.
Yeah.
So, what can you explain to me, like what the ideals of a libertarian are exactly, so I know going forward?
So I think that the core beliefs of a libertarian is that the government and any like power structure should get out of your decisions, whether it's social things or financial things. So it's like laissez-faire, economic practices. You know, it's like libertarians are often pro-choice, not because of a moral reason, but because the government shouldn't tell you what you should be able to do with your body. So that's kind of, that's what attracted me initially. But what kind of turned me away from libertarianism was the economic side, because I just, throughout college mostly, I kind of shifted away from complete freedom.
Because you're a Marxist.
Yeah, well, I'm not a proper Marxist. I'm a philosophy major, full disclosure, okay. So I think about a lot of those kind of things. But it's something where the free market doesn't operate in a way that's free and fair to everyone because of the way that it's currently structured. And I think if there was a situation where people truly were valued equally or treated equally, and this is like obviously like without racism, sexism, all that kind of stuff, which is like isn't how it is, then I would say you can be a libertarian. But because there are such social inequities, I just feel like it's a libertarianism is a bit of a fantasy in that way, because it assumes that everyone's equal.
Okay.
But I like the
But what do you
stay
mean
out of
by
my...
that? By assumes everybody's equal?
The only way I think that libertarianism could work is if everyone was truly on the same playing field, black, white, gay, straight, whatever. Like, but that's just not how it is.
You mean unequal in legislation or unequal in birth?
Mostly like inequality of opportunity and inequality, like...
Okay, so you believe in equality of outcome, not true equality.
I don't think that's. I'm not. The jury's not out for me on that.
I'm
debate.
just wondering.
I think everyone should have the same opportunity to achieve the same things, and I think just because you're born into a family that has, like, I was born into an affluent family, and the opportunities that I have is very different from someone who was born into a different family, and that's the problem that I have, is that I think everyone should.
An efficient father and mother for being successful.
And I that's just not how I see it. Like the issue that I have is a lot of the opportunities that were afforded to my father had to do with years of like how his father was and how his family was. And there's a lot of people who just aren't, I don't even know how to, I have a hard time with this because I haven't fully thought through. Yeah, well, it's also just like a tricky thing because it's like, my dad worked really hard, but there's a lot of people who work really hard. Like, my dad doesn't work 2 jobs. My dad works 1 job and he works 40 hours a week, but there's people who work multiple part-time jobs to try to afford, like, single mothers to, you know, to feed their kids. And it's like, why does my dad get the opportunities that he has when she might work just as hard? But because of the fact he works in finance, he gets benefits that she might not because she works in, like, fast food.
Right, but
you know?
She could just as easily get a degree in finance and go work in finance.
It costs a lot of money to do that. And
to
not
go
everyone
to college and get a degree just like everybody else.
Not everyone can afford to go to college.
Right, but that's where things like scholarships come in.
Absolutely, but not everyone's like there's so many factors with scholarship.
Not everybody's supposed to be successful.
I think everyone should have the opportunity to be successful.
They do.
I just I'm just going to fundamentally disagree with that.
That's where this is what I was talking about, like where my upbringing came in, where it's like I totally understand it. Like it's what you're saying is absolutely good-hearted. Like I can't disagree with something that's good-hearted with. The problem is that the way I was raised, I'm gonna blame my dad. I'm not gonna blame so much my mom. Right?
Shout out dad.
Yeah, I'm just outing my dad right now. So it's more of like I don't know, like. He had no patience. I mean, neither did my mom. They had no patience for bullshit. I'm just going to say that, okay? So whenever I would make an excuse to do anything, right? And I said, like, oh, you know this, but nobody, listening.
The world,
yeah. All 100 million listeners of the podcast, I don't know.
Yeah, all my listeners.
I started working construction when I was 9 years old, right? And that wasn't...
Sounds illegal.
That wasn't, it probably is, right? But that's just how it works. I'm not gonna say like all Italian families do that, but definitely the I'm second generation American. The generations that came here recently, they kind of still follow those principles. But yeah, I mean, maybe it is illegal. I mean, child labor laws. But whatever. My dad did not give a fuck, right? So that's what I'm saying. It was that I was the firstborn. Boy, so I had no option. It was you're going to work. doesn't matter if you're going to end up in construction or not. You're going to work because you're going to help me. You're going to learn. My father's philosophy was that doing, work at a young age or that type of work, made you who you are in the future, because, his friends were drug addicts or whatever, and they didn't have the same upbringing wherever in New Rochelle. And, he credits like going to work every day and breaking your ass and not making excuses for why he has his own business and he's successful and his family was fucking poor, versus all of his friends that ended up either dead or, they're on drugs still.
Yeah.
So it was like a no bullshit attitude. So it was, you're gonna get up, go to work, stop fucking complaining, and do what's asked of you or what you have to do for your family, right? The more you make excuses, the worse you're making it for yourself. I'm not saying that somebody who's poor, makes excuses for themselves and can't pull themselves out of it. I think a lot of it is outlook. I think my outlook is a lot different from a lot of other people's outlooks, from different situations or backgrounds, whatever. But if you're in a shitty situation and you're only focusing on how shitty your situation is, you're not going to pull yourself out of it. If you keep fucking complaining and all this, you're not going to get pulled out of it. In the other sense, where my libertarian side comes in, I don't think you should be complaining to the government to get you out of your situation. Whether it's the government's fault or not, I mean, that's why I don't want the government involved in these type of things. But like if you come from a family that, I don't know, let's say your dad left and you had a single mom raising you, and the only job she can get was, at McDonald's, let's just say, right? Like you said before, like the fast food. You can do, two things. You could either live in that systematic way of life, which everybody gets programmed into, is, I have a single mom, I live wherever, we're poor, and it's other people's fault why I'm poor too. That's not the case. You can easily say, I'm in a shitty situation, I have a single mom, my fucking dad's a deadbeat, he left, and now my mom is trying to support me, and I have to make the best of it because one day I can make money and try to support her and give back to her, right? But it's never, not never, but that's just the way I view it. And that's why I don't like a lot of government interference in these things and people blaming, rich people for this or any sort of privilege, like whatever. Yeah, you can have privilege if you got born into a rich family, but now are you discrediting the people in your family that got you to that place? You're most likely your family wasn't rich its entirety, right? Somewhere down the line, somebody was poor, and that poor person said, fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore, and they made a living for themselves. And yes, it built on each other. That's the whole point. That's why instead of complaining, you build your first step, so maybe your kids have the next step, and then their kids have the next step.
Okay.
So that's sort of like that background, I guess.
Okay. So speaking of kids who were born into rich families, let's get back to Donald Trump.
Right. This is that tangent I told you.
It's a small loan of
you gotta keep on track.
Yeah, I'll keep you on track. So when Trump first started campaigning,
Wait, can I time out for like 2 seconds?
Yeah.
Do you want me to just say why in general I voted for him before we go into like specifics?
I mean, sure. I mean, if you have something already that you want to say about it. I mean, just
the
a
general
few questions for you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I want to answer all the questions, but in a general sense, why I voted for Donald Trump.
Sure, yeah, I was gonna get to that. Yeah. I kind of was gonna go through the whole campaign, like when he first came out.
All right.
Where you're like, this fucking guy. You were like, oh.
My bad. All right, I fucked up. You can ask me whatever question you want. All right, go.
So when he first started out, when he was like, I'm gonna be the president of the United States of America,
right.
were you like, fuck yeah, or you're like, what the fuck?
No, I was.
Who was your man? Was it Rubio?
It was Rubio. That was my man.
A lot of Rubio to Trump people.
My boy was Rubio back then.
Sad little Marco.
Sad little Marco. What a fucking little bitch, right? So
It's a good way to put it.
When I was, so when this whole thing was going on during the primaries, I was not voting for Donald Trump, right? And my whole family was. So like my mom, my dad, my brothers, my sister, they were all for Donald Trump. And at first I didn't see it. And I didn't have the love for him that, a lot of people have.
Growing up in New York.
Yeah. So, and I knew of Rubio before the primaries. I always followed him. I always thought he was like a sharpshooter. He could answer questions quick. I just thought, even for like a young, as young as he is, that he was good. Like, he was quick. I liked his answers. You know, whatever.
He thought so too.
Yeah, exactly. Right, and that's exactly the point.
Rubio's based in Florida, right?
Yeah, he's Florida, and I think it was the third primary debate of the GOP, and my mind was blown. I was like, wait a sec, hold on. I was like, Rubio is not the guy who I thought he was, and I had to like kind of reposition myself to be like, all right, wait, this guy's not doing it for me. Now
What
I
did
kind
you
of
do that changed it for you?
Trump shit on him. Like, he broke him down. I think they called him like the malfunctioning robot, that debate.
Oh my God, yes.
He was like stuttering and shit. I was like, whoa, I've never seen that. Cause I watched all those different videos on Rubio. So yeah, and I was kind of trying to find somebody else in the GOP that wasn't Trump to like back. And I was like I was really trying. Yeah, really trying.
What do you think of John Kasich?
Nah, he's a soft little bitch. I don't follow John Kasich.
All right.
A little bit. Heard it here first, folks.
So that's my professional
stance.
political. Yeah, you can put that on the record. And so yeah, and obviously it came down to Trump. I'm like, okay, now I kind of have to see where this guy lies and if I'm gonna vote for him. So it wasn't like an immediate thing. It wasn't the same day where I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm voting for Trump. I kind of just, I look back at old videos of him. I watched old interviews. I watched his campaign rally. Like, I really watched it. I didn't watch the news clips. I watched all, like, 45 minutes to an hour of his rallies. Like, every word he was saying. I wasn't just glossing over it.
Yeah.
And I did, like, maybe, like, a week worth of just looking shit up, doing background on him. Not political, too. Like, I'm talking about his business, stuff like that. His character, all of it. And then somewhere along the line, I was just like, oh my God, like, and this was after the primaries too.
You fell in love.
Yeah, no, technically I did. But I didn't vote for him in the primaries. I didn't vote in the primaries because I was still unsure.
Okay.
And I didn't want to be, I just didn't want to be a part of it if like Trump won and he fucked up and then I'm a part of that now. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't sold in. So I was like, fuck this, I'm not voting for the primaries. If he wins the GOP, then maybe I'll consider it more, right? And that was during, that whole week and a half that I was looking shit up. And he won, obviously. And I started diving way more into it. And that's kind of when I was like, I went from not that I didn't care, but not really liking Donald Trump for president, because I didn't not like him as a person. I just, for a president, I didn't want him at that time.
Yeah.
To like, oh fuck yeah, like this is my guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I did not like him as a person either. I just didn't. He was like the apprentice
yeah.
guy.
It's weird being from New York. I feel like most of my friends at school like weren't from New York, and they were kind of like, oh, so this was just like a weird guy, and I was like,
right.
I loved him. Like, I thought he was really entertaining, and like there were things that I knew about him. Like, I didn't realize like the Central Park 5 stuff. Like, that really turns me on. I didn't know that though. All I knew with him, I was just like this crazy guy. Like, he was entertaining.
It was annoying that his name was everywhere, but it was also like a part of New York.
That's because he's a brand.
Yeah,
he does that
he's
purposely.
a brand. Yeah,
and he always was just kind of like, I always felt he was a little bumbling, but he just seemed very harmless to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was very weird in the beginning because I didn't feel so strongly anti-Trump until
you guys saw it more as a spectacle.
Happened.
Yeah,
well, because I feel like most people did. He was like, he's a reality person.
Fired guy. Yeah.
I was like, he's funny.
So, just what does the GOP stand for?
Grand Old Party.
What does that mean?
What does that? Have a grand time partying.
I don't know historically. That's what it was. That's what it was called.
But what does it do? Like the GOP would, I know it sounds stupid.
Party.
It's just another word. I believe it's just another word for the Republican Party.
Okay.
I think it might have been like a nickname or something.
I think it was a nickname.
But
the Grand Old Party.
The Grand Old Party.
That's like sounds so like 1820s.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. I actually don't really know the history of either party super well because I don't know. I feel sort of like you. Like I don't really like being like I'm a Democrat because it's like. I don't know, like if I had to pick a party, I'd fall into the Democrat, but it's like there's issues that I have.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I say, I'm a Republican. It's that, well, fiscally, I'm a Republican. I believe in the fiscal views of the Republican Party.
Do you believe in the fiscal views of the current Republican Party, or do you believe in fiscal conservatism? Because I feel like those are different.
I mean, they're not essentially different. It's sort of the same
The
principles.
tax, but I feel like the tax cut, that to me is not at all fiscally conservative. It's added almost $1 trillion. Is projected to add almost $1 trillion to the deficit.
No,
And
that's the projections that you're saying are conservative. The fundamental of it is conservative. That's taking money away from the government. That is
but
literally
you're cutting
fiscal
taxes without
conservative.
increasing revenue. So how do you make up for it?
Wait, so I was talking. I didn't hear what you said.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm not saying I just couldn't
No,
hear
I
you.
think I don't understand how it would be fiscally conservative. You're cutting taxes, but you're not. There's nothing that's going to, like, you're just reducing the amount of money that's coming into the government, but there's still a huge debt that we have, and it's just
Right, and we can definitely talk about the debt, but the thing I think you're not looking at is you're talking about government money versus money for the people. So you're taking tax cuts to get more money in people's pockets, not money in the government's pocket.
so. But the thing is, I needed to prepare more for this because there's just so much information out there that just suggests that it's not helping.
I don't believe a lot of that information. I'll get into that too.
But it's from like the
'cause-
Senate.
what do
The
you
ways
mean?
and it's I was looking this up earlier. Keep talking.
Right.
We'll come back to this.
All right, yeah. Where were we talking
Do you want
about?
me to move on?
Yeah, move on. I need
Okay.
to. I want to talk more about this, but there is something that I was looking at and I lost it.
So, I was wondering what, besides like Trump is a good businessman, doing air
Okay.
quotes, because I don't really know if I believe that or not, but what other traits do you think that are strong for him? Like, what do you think
Right.
helps him out with his personality, with his character, that are good to be the president?
Okay. I'm gonna go back a little bit though.
Sure.
All right. Because I'll kind of just give like a little more vague explanation of why I voted for Trump, and that I'll talk about
Yeah,
that
yeah,
while
sure.
I'm doing that. So it was definitely the timing, like in every election cycle, however long it lasts. I'm talking about the presidencies. You're always gonna need, like, I know you and I have talked about this before, the yin and yang, right? You need the opposites. You always do.
Yeah.
I'll never say that I just want Republicans for the rest of my life or conservatives, right? You need Democrat, you need liberal. That's why we have the system that we have, right? And there's always an appetite for one or the other, depending on the status of the country, let's just say, right? And I think not that Trump, I'm not even gonna say this. It's just that there was so much of Obama that it was almost time for a Republican, regardless if Trump was going to win or not. And that's not to say that Obama did a real shit job or something, and that's why, and Republicans are the best, and that's why you need a Republican. It's just that the appetite changed.
Historically, so that's a trend that's always with presidential elections. It's very rare that after a 2-term Democrat, you end up with another Democrat.
Right.
That people are like, how did Hillary lose? And it's like, if you actually just look
was
at
time.
but if
Right.
you look at just like history, it's like it would have been. There's another level of how hard it would have been for a Democrat to win again.
Right.
Just
So
That's interesting.
that's definitely
political
one part
science.
of it. But yeah, so and my appetite was definitely, even though I was already Republican, it was already definitely like getting away from an Obama regime and switching to something different. So I think the fundamentals of why, not just why I voted for Trump, but many Americans voted for Trump, is a couple things, and a lot of it is rooted in one thing: Americanism. And that was why that was such a big part of his campaign. Like,
Do you mean nationalism?
make America great again.
He just showed us his MAGA hat, which
Yeah.
Flash the MAGA.
I'm trying not to burn in my apartment.
Yeah, exactly.
What is Americanism? Like, are you just talking like American nationalism?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by that? Like America strong, kind of? Like
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna get into it.
Okay. Get
right.
into it, baby.
So a lot of it has to do with definitely the jobs. I know that's a lot of of what the news says, and what he said is the Mexican thing, the jobs, the Chinese jobs, blah blah blah. Right? That was one thing, and I'll go into that. It was a pride thing, definitely a pride thing, and other than like the economic status and all that, but it was just his message where I think a lot of and not to start a debate, I'm literally telling you why, a lot of the Trump supporters the ones that were Democrat and Republican, because there was a lot of blue dogs that voted for Trump as well. I'm assuming you know what that is.
Blue. Well, I was just
I know you know what that is.
what a blue dog is.
I don't remember.
Blue dog is a Democrat with more conservative values.
Okay.
Right.
Didn't
That's
know
just
that,
the name of
but
it.
okay.
I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah.
Whereas like the opposite end, a Republican like liberal values is a libertarian.
Okay.
All right, so that's just
Okay,
the difference.
gotcha.
Now that we got that out of the way.
All right.
Right. So
Blue dog.
yeah, blue dogs, and it was just a sense that I don't know that Obama wasn't, not that he didn't love America, because I feel like that's impossible for you to win a presidency and not love your country. But
A lot of Republicans accused him of not loving the country, though. I feel like there's a large base of Republicans who hated Obama in a way that...
I'm not saying that...
Like, Trump himself said he wasn't an American. Like,
I'm,
you know...
like I said, not a survey, I'm not saying that everybody didn't say that Obama, because obviously I can't speak for everybody.
Of course not.
Can't say that nobody called Obama any names behind his back.
No, but it was not just behind his
You
back.
can confirm that. that people.
Right, but I'm not arguing that. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say is that the sentiment for Obama was that he didn't love America, versus the sentiment of Trump was like, this guy really does love America, and he really wants the people of America, not like just the government. He wants the people to really succeed in what they're doing in life, not the immigrants that are just coming here, obviously illegally, right? If you're an immigrant coming to the country and you assimilate, you are now an American. So now he was talking about you. He's not talking. If you're illegal, he's not talking about you, because you are an illegal immigrant. You're not an American. You're not assimilating to the American way. So that's kind of like the direction that a lot of them voted in.
So can I interject for a second?
Yeah,
Ask
sure.
you a question?
Sure.
Do you believe that he actually really loves America?
Absolutely.
What shows you that he does?
It's one, I know this is a stupid example, but just by the way he speaks of America, right? Mm-hmm. When I first started listening to his rallies, just the way he talks, and I think part of it could be that he's just a charismatic guy. Whether you like him or not, he's very charismatic.
Because when I see him speak, I'm like, you're a con man and a businessman.
Right, but you don't like him.
Fuck.
That's the difference.
Yeah, but there's a reason why,
But I don't think I don't think your reason is sound as you think it is. I think your reason is more of that, not that this is a group collective, but you are, that's why I'm on here. Because you don't know anybody that thinks the way I do. Mm-hmm. So
not many.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So I think the group sentiment is that Trump's a piece of shit, therefore we're not going to like him. Regardless of, I'm not saying that you don't know why, because I believe you do. I'm just saying, I think there's a lot of people out there that kind of just go based off that. Mm-hmm. Like I obviously have bias. I go based off certain things. If I don't know it and somebody says, yada yada yada, I'll be like, yeah, probably that guy's an asshole because he doesn't think the same way I do.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Sure.
Not that I really do that, but you get my point.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I really do believe that
he loves America.
He loves America, and it shows though. His policies are for Americans. The tax cuts were to give money back to Americans, not to the government, right? The immigration policy, it was for Americans. It was criminal and economic, right? Because people, their jobs were being taken away from, and I come from the construction part of the world, so I can speak to this very sincerely. Based off of those, couple examples, I really do believe that he loves America and he is for America.
Okay. And then you had other points. I just cut you off, so unless you did.
Honestly, I don't even remember. So
why you voted for Trump and
oh, okay. Yeah. So like I said, it's just the sentiment was leaning one way, and I think a lot of the country wanted it to lean the other way. And not that I want to get controversial, but
do it.
Yeah, right. There's a new thing going around saying that the new wave of conservatism is called the classical liberal, right? I don't know if you've heard of that, right? So somewhere along the line, let's just use the 1950s, for example, right? People thought a certain way about, let's say, gay people, black people still, right? All that. Mm-hmm. And, obviously we had civil rights and everything, and we kind of moved to where we are today, where those people have rights and, they can do what they want. So it was kind of a point where we kind of met at one point, right? And now we all agree that black people are all the same as us, and gay people are the same as us, and we're all the same, right? We're all Americans at heart, right? At least I'm talking about America, not other countries.
Yeah.
Now it's to a different era where we met here, and now I think a lot of the liberals are focusing on aspects over here where I'm going to use middle America, the people like just farmers, the manufacturing industry, construction workers who I know well, regular people who focus less on social stuff and more on economic stuff and I guess things for their family, protection of that sort. That's what a lot of Americans are focused on, not the social aspect. And I feel like a lot of, at least a lot of the liberals that I talk to, I'm going to use liberals as a vague term, because I worked in New York City. I'm not going to say the company. I'm definitely not saying the company because I still like the CEO. Where I would listen, and none of them knew I was a Republican. I couldn't say it because...
Probably for the best.
Yeah, definitely for the best. And that's another reason, that's another part of why a lot of people voted for Trump, because it was more like I had to hide. It was like, oh my God, he's a Republican or conservative.
Well,
like,
at least in New York, definitely.
100% New York.
New York City, at least.
Right. And that's the whole point.
Like, that just highlights how problematic and just impossible political conversation has become, because
right, and that's retarded.
And it's not just on the liberal side either. Like a lot of my family is quite conservative, and I am frequently attacked for my political views, and I think it's just unacceptable on either side. And it's like, I don't agree with the stuff that you said in the last 10 minutes. I agree with almost none of it. However, like, I can sit across from you and not just be like, oh fuck this guy.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to have this conversation.
But I think there's a difference too. Whereas your family, I mean, I'm not saying you're not civil, but I think when it comes to like definitely family, like you're going to be attacked no matter what, even if it's not politics. If you believe different from your family or your parents in general, you're going to be attacked. And it's different. You're not being attacked either physically or threatening. Whereas I know I have, and all the people that I know that have voted for Trump has, they've been that way
threatened.
As well. Right. And that part of it is the ridiculous part. And I'm not saying that, on the right that doesn't exist, but I think it exists far less, only because, we were the victors at this point. So
can I say something about that?
Sure.
Because I would agree, like in a liberal place like New York, you're not going to find, there's not Republicans that are attacking liberal people, but I do think a lot of people who identify as liberal or Democrat are people of color, generally marginalized people, and like the rate of hate crimes has gone up dramatically since Trump was elected.
Oh, I don't even believe that at all.
It's true. It's just true.
No, it's not. That's not true at all. First of all, hate crimes in general, I think, are bullshit. Unless you can really prove that somebody said, I hate this black guy, I'm going to kill him because he's black, then yeah, that's a hate crime. But wouldn't every act of violence be considered a hate crime because you hate the person? So if I'm white and I kill another white guy, I killed him because I hated him.
But you didn't kill him because... If you killed him because he was a white person, you hate white people, even though you're a white person. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But hypothetically, you're a white man who hates white people, and you killed him because he was a white person.
Right.
That would be a hate crime. But just killing another person, of course there is hate involved, but by definition, a hate crime involves...
So you don't think it's the other way as well, where it's that people hate white people too, and that they're being attacked too for being white?
How many people do you hear in the news that are white are being killed by black people, by Spanish people, etc., Asian people? Not really. Oh, whatever. But
well,
in the
to
news,
say
and
that, first of all, whenever I hear any death on the news, it's either that black people are killing other black people. Okay, it's not that white people are going and killing black people. The only time I'll say where it's 100% white people is school shootings. Right? So school shootings always happen by white kids. For whatever reason, I don't know, they're fucked in the head, those kids. They do really evil shit. When it comes to killing on the news, other than the school shootings, it's almost always black on black. It's not white on black, unless you count you can't
say that without statistics in front of you, though.
But you don't have statistics either.
I don't either.
And you made a generalization that hate crime has gone up. and that's not true.
It has. The Southern Poverty Law Center tracks it. You can look it up. Anyone listening to this podcast can look it up. They track it, and the problem with hate crimes and reporting is that it's optional reporting by police things, and oftentimes they report it lower. And there's organizations independently who track instances of hate, but hate crimes have gone up in the country, and it's just
Where have they gone up? And what kind of hate crimes are you talking about?
Burning down mosques. I forget the man's name, but there was an Indian man who was murdered by his neighbor in a bar. The man thought he was Muslim, and he shot him to death in a bar because
I can see what you're saying.
Like, that's a hate crime.
Right. Well, yeah, if that was the case, where if the guy definitely hated, let's say, brown people, right? Because talk about Indians, and he was definitely open about, I hate brown people, I'm going to kill this motherfucker because he's brown, right? Then yeah, that's 100% a hate crime. And I don't think that's right. But I don't think the evidence is sound that's saying just because this guy killed a brown guy that it is a cause for a hate crime. That's just a regular crime, unless you can prove that the hate exists for that race.
She did say because
he was a known racist. He had said he had ran over the man's mother with a car.
Holy shit.
Previously. It's a horrible story. I can't remember the man. I feel bad because I need to remember the man's name.
I mean, you are fucked in the head, regardless if you're racist and drive.
Yeah.
We should put some of this stuff in the show notes.
Yeah,
because that would be.
I haven't seen any of this go up. Anything
you wouldn't have seen it gone up. You're a white man.
And what does that mean?
You don't associate with. I mean, like I just don't. I don't think you're looking at. I think the problem that I have fundamentally with this conversation is that you're just saying that hate crimes aren't happening because you don't see them, but you wouldn't see them.
No. I'm not saying on the street. I'm saying on the news. I'm not saying it would be reported.
So going back to the news. Yeah. You have your Fox News and Chill shirt on. Is that your main source of news?
No, Wall Street Journal.
Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even watch Fox News.
Okay. Thank God.
I just have the shirt because I love this shirt.
It's fun. Yeah.
It's a funny shirt.
I can see you've worn it a lot.
No, it's actually the company that I work
it's just really faded.
Yeah, it's like some I don't know, one of those online things where anybody can make a shirt.
Yeah.
But it's like one of the things that was like trending. I'm like, I'm gonna buy it. It's a stupid bullshit, like printed one. It's like in a year this will be gone.
That's all right. So I don't know much about the Wall Street Journal. Do you know how? I don't know how reputable it is.
I would say very reputable.
Yeah, it's reputable. I don't like the editorial board, but it's reputable. Like it's not it's as reputable as the New York Times.
Okay.
Although you might not agree with that, but
I personally don't read the New York Times, so I can't say it.
Because I feel like a lot of people, there's just been a lot of, like, especially like, so what do you think of the way that the president attacks the free press?
Right. Yeah. So I don't think, as far as, so let's say First Amendment rights, you're allowed to say whatever the fuck you want. Right. I don't believe that anybody should be restricted. I don't believe any sort of speech should be restricted, no matter the opposing view or not. That being said, he could shit on them all he wants. That's freedom of speech as well.
That's true.
So, but do you not think there's, so legally, yes, I think he can say whatever he wants, but do you not think there's a bit of a danger in the president making concerted efforts to delegitimize independent organizations, or independent press organizations, because that's something that we see a lot of dictators do, and I'm not here to be like Trump is the next Hitler, but it's a technique used by just kidding. It's a technique used by people who want to discredit. Like Fox News is obviously favorable to Trump.
Absolutely.
And in a very it's not a secret, you know what I mean?
And CNN was very openly for Hillary Clinton. So yeah, everybody has a bias.
Absolutely. But I just think you don't have a problem ethically with that is attacking the press. Like, do you value the press in a... So, you don't get what I'm getting at?
Yeah. I think it has had an effect.
I know what you're trying to ask me. I would say this, that if he actually restricts their speech based off a law, then no, I don't support that at all. As far as talking shit, yeah, I'm all for talking shit, no matter if it's to my side or to the other side. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. So you like chaos?
So yeah, a little bit. I feel like everybody likes a little chaos, but
I want less chaos.
So the company I used to work for, and this is why I speak to this. The company I used to work for, again, not going to say the name. They, shit, I don't even know if I can say that part. I'm not trying to out anybody.
You can cut it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to listen back, see if I,
Yeah.
name drop or say something stupid.
Okay.
I'll just say it was a finance-based company, okay, that also gave news, okay? I'll just put it that way. So I helped the content team, and the guy who ran the content team was actually, I'm not going to say his title, but he was high up in the editorial board for CNN Money. Let's just say that, okay? He came, he did a great job with a lot of the content, a lot of the finance content. So part of my job at this company was helping the content team do research for certain financial articles, right? And a lot of, almost all of the articles were all hit pieces on Trump, right? Whereas, and this is sort of where that term fake news comes in, right? That a lot of people either bought into or believe, whatever. But my belief in the fake news comes in this sort of sense, where it's not fake. They're obviously reporting things that are true. They're just reporting a lot of bias, right? So they did no hit pieces on Hillary Clinton, no hit pieces on the socialist Bernie Sanders. They did none of Trump's accomplishments in business and or financially. They only did hit pieces. When they asked me to do the research and it came up anything in favor of Trump, they made me scrap it. And then they figured out something that would hit it, right? And that's partly where I said, okay, well, maybe not fake news in the way that,
Like it's all factual, but it's biased.
Yeah. Right. So, and that's sort of, it kind of pissed me off in a way where I was like, all right, like, I'm not here to defend Trump and everything he does, because I'm not saying he's perfect. Nobody's perfect. He does a lot of bad things too, whatever. Like, to be that successful in life, anybody in history that's successful in life had to step on people and be sort of a bad person. You can't be 100% good person, as
certainly not in a capitalist system.
Yeah, I love capitalism though. So yeah, that's part of it. So that's a news organization technically, and I don't read any of their articles because a lot of it I know is set up in a way to make a lot of things look negative.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll obviously still look at some of the stock stuff and bonds, fixed income stuff, but like I don't read shit like that I know personally. They're just focusing on that. Yeah. If there's something that does good, bad, they're showing you both sides, so you can make an actual decision for yourself on which side you want to take. Then that's more credible. So as far as him attacking like the news organizations, he could do whatever the fuck he wants.
Well, that's what you did. Attest to that. It is factual, and I understand the bias. I understand your but grievances towards
when I mean factual, it's factual in the sense where if they said
they have fact, but it's fact.
How does the stock market perform under Republican presidencies? And it shows that it outperforms all the Democrat presidents, right? Then they go back and say, okay, go to the first day of office for the presidents, right? So then you look and you say, okay, the first day that Democrats in office versus Republican, that the stock market does better on the first day of the Democrat presidency. Okay, so we're going to write the article on that. Okay. That's what I mean. So it's factual, but it's not, the content isn't useful. Okay. And it's actually, it actually is harming information. That's what I'm saying.
Well, but the other thing I think is harmful, it's like getting away from fiscally, like, because that's what that company was reporting on, like financial stuff. Like, I think the fake news is harmful when it reports on all the things regarding immigration, reports on all the things, all the social aspects. I think it's dangerous when he says fake news, because they think, because then people believe it, and it's just not fake. There's so many things I feel like that are just not. They're just
right,
facts.
Of course. I mean, a lot of people do believe anything they hear.
And if they look, if Trump says it's fake, he's, people aren't going to go to those reputable news sources and just believe what he says and just believe that like everything's a fucking hunky-dory.
Right, but now you're missing another point where nobody knows what a reputable news source is anymore. So, and I'm not saying that CNN's not like reputable because they lie all the time or whatever. It's the fact that like take even the the polling, for example, right? I thought Trump was going to lose, like by a landslide, right?
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case because
him winning was in the margin of error, though. There was always, in all of the major polls, there was a possibility that he would win based on the margin of error that was established.
A little possibility, not by how much he won by. That's what I'm saying.
So polls aren't predictions, though, and I think that's the problem.
But what I'm saying is the news reported on these things, saying that.
That's a huge problem. They treat it like a horse race, and that's a major issue.
But that's what I'm saying, where the credibility was kind of lost. And I'm not saying that it's at the fault of the news. I mean, it kind of is. You have to check the things, but let's say it's the fault of the polling systems, right? Because I know for a fact a lot of polling systems still call house phones. I don't have a house phone. Right? I have a cell phone. And what do you do when you get a random number on your cell phone? You don't pick it up, right? Yeah. So a lot of the polling numbers were fucked up, right? So they didn't have all these the genuine data that they needed to conduct this, the research. And so a lot of the news organizations reported on it, and then on both sides it's sort of like, okay, if I'm a Democrat, I'm watching CNN and they're saying that Hillary's going to win, and there's the slight chance that Trump can win, whatever. And then you're watching the Republican side and they're coming up with theories like, okay, maybe he can still win this way, maybe because he's losing. And then it comes time for the election and he wins by what nobody predicted by. Essentially, like, what the fuck just happened? So
the problem isn't that the polls were accurate. They were done. These are reputable polling sources like Pew and several of the other polls. The issue is the way it's reported on, and that people. A lot
clearly
of people
they weren't. Because
but it was in the margin of error. You can look up the statistics.
It wasn't, because it was nowhere even close to the landslide victory that he had and what they were saying.
Landslide victory. He lost the popular vote. He did not have a landslide victory.
First of all, there's more people in Los Angeles than there is in most of the middle of the United States.
Vote.
But you don't win a presidency by popular vote. You win a presidency by the Electoral College.
Yeah,
clearly.
Right. So
fucking clearly
aware of this.
Right. So that's my point. The polling still wasn't correct, and I'm not saying it's because they weren't doing their job correctly, but
it wasn't that it wasn't correct. It's not predictive. It's percent of chance that these different things might happen, and the percentage. It's just not.
So you're saying it is the fault of the news organizations?
Yeah, it is. With polling, I don't think the news organizations. We have definitely different feelings about because the polls were not incorrect. It was the interpretation of the polls, and the problem is that news organizations are incentivized to have interesting stories and Trump's up, Hillary's up, and it goes back and forth because they're companies that need to make money. But the issue is more to me is the interpretation, because the data in all of the major polls, except for one that had Trump in the lead, Trump was in the margin of error of winning at the the last poll that was done on the first or whatever. So it's not that, it's the interpretation.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, the news source fucked it up, and that's why a lot of people don't trust the news anymore. They don't know what the reputable news source is. Mm-hmm. So, and that's kind of why I obviously stay away from Fox News.
Right.
That's why I like the Wall Street Journal.
Speaking of bias, yeah, of
exactly.
course. So I want to talk about social regards, because that's a lot of reasons why. Don't laugh. That's a lot of reasons why I don't know anything about finance stuff. I'm a fucking art major. I've stopped doing math.
I got you.
Years ago. But I know I'm a minority. My father's minority. We come from middle class. They're both super liberal. Mm-hmm. And based on my good morals, basically, I think it's morally sound to be socially liberal in my sense. So off of Trump's blatant sexism, you have a sister and you love your mother, I know,
and they both love Trump,
whatever. But if someone, how would you feel if someone said about your sister,
grab your pussy, grab your sister by the pussy,
grab her by the pussy, just stuff like that? Does that make you feel any certain way? I'm sure your mom and your sister love Trump for some reasons, but I can't imagine they love Trump based on his sexism.
All right, so let me put it to you this way. I think an underlying amount of men, if you're going to classify that as sexism, then every man has that, because that's just the way we talk to each other, okay?
I've never once heard you be like,
Why would I say it to you? Why would I say it to you? Right? That's my point.
Don't
But
act
do you
like
talk about her like that to your friends?
No, not about
That's
Ray.
like-
I'm talking about
You talk
girls
with
in
other
general.
women like
Oh,
that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You never
That's what
talk
guys
about
do.
it like that with Dane. Like, not that
First
I
of all,
hear.
wait, hold on. You don't know that, okay? Because that's a conversation between me and Dane.
That's not my Dane. That's
All right,
not
so
my
let me
perfect boy.
answer your first question. If somebody said that about my sister and or my mother, maybe not now because I might get arrested, hands. I would beat the shit out of them, right? But that's the thing. He didn't say that about my mom. He didn't say that about my sister. He said it about that.
What about your
reporter.
future daughter?
Did he say it about my future daughter? That's why I
Oh
don't
my
get
God.
this. I don't get the argument.
It's that it's just disrespectful to talk about women like that. Is disrespectful, and it disappoints me that you talk about women like that in your private life because it shows that you're not respectful
There's
towards
no,
women.
like,
I don't give a shit.
Nico,
It's like
you're one of the most.
Okay.
Look.
You're the most gentlemanly, kind
Thank you.
man I've ever met.
I appreciate
There's no,
that.
You're put on this weird persona.
Oh, yeah?
Like you talk about you're gonna like as if you're gonna like degrade and like
Wait, hold on,
molest
stop.
these women.
First of all, I'm not molesting. But wait, I'm not going to say it right now, but I've told you some shit, okay?
Of course, but it was all consensual. Grabbing a woman by the pussy, grabbing a woman by the
I
pussy
still don't
without their
understand exactly
consent.
what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, so let me say that. If it was like a rape case, obviously that would be fucked up. Nobody's for that.
Which
He's
has
accused by over a dozen people of sexual assault.
and rape.
And so was Hillary Clinton, and she defended her husband on it. Well,
Hillary Clinton's going around grabbing pussies?
No, Bill Clinton. Sorry, did I say Hillary?
Yes.
Yeah, all right, I meant Bill. Bill Clinton does the
Hillary,
same
what?
shit. Yeah, Hillary Clinton does it. I don't know. She might be a lesbian. You never know. But the principle is that what he said was, I can pretty much do whatever the fuck I want, right? I can pretty much go up to any girl and I can grab her by the pussy or whatever, flick her fucking tit,
right,
whatever he wants, right? And what he means essentially is that he's rich, right? Whatever. I'm not gonna say he's good looking because he's not that good looking,
No,
right?
it's ugly fuck.
But he is a man of status, and if you look across any man of status, not just Trump, they can pretty much do whatever the fuck they want, right?
Harvey Weinstein, for
Look at
example.
Harvey, yeah.
But you don't
The
find that to be
rapist.
problematic
Exactly.
at all?
I'm not saying that it's a great thing. I'm just saying I don't judge his presidency based off him being a rich guy, pretty much being able to do whatever he wants.
Oh, I'm not asking to judge his presidency, but to judge his character. And I've always been under the impression that, like, especially conservatives, you expect good character of the people that you're electing into the
Right.
most important office. And I just
yeah.
feel like that's one that's like a demerit from his character
Yeah,
to be
it's
doing that.
I would say that if he actually did that and the woman was like, "Get off me," and he didn't, then yeah, that's a big negative. But the fact is that he's talking with another dude, and that's how dudes talk. I don't care if you guys don't believe me. I swear to God, that's how they talk.
I believe you.
Yeah, yeah.
I find it disrespectful and problematic. And I
don't think it's problematic because iron sharpens iron. That's how men talk to each other, and that's just something that's always going to be the way it is, and that's the way it needs to be because men make each other men. That's it.
I don't know. I
don't
know
have
a lot of
response to
men
that.
who wouldn't talk about raping women.
First of all, he didn't talk about raping a woman.
That's
No, there's a
not
big
consensual.
difference. There's a big difference between talking about raping a woman and then saying, I'm rich, I can pretty much do whatever I want.
All right. Well, let's disagree
All
on
right,
this
sure.
one. So I know you don't think that racism has gone up, but I think
No, I wouldn't say that.
okay. Well,
I wouldn't say that.
all right. So like
I think
based on
racial tensions are very high.
are high, but
Yeah.
don't you think it's because of Trump? Like, don't you think because he's clearly a racist, a xenophobe,
First of all, he's none of those
an
things.
anti-Semite?
No, oh my
Are
God.
you kidding?
Are you fucking kidding me?
Are
No,
you
he's not.
kidding me?
No.
How many Nazis have come out of the closet?
Like
Since-
gay? I don't think that
Don't
happens.
be like have come out the,
gay Nazis.
the
Yeah,
cupboard.
right?
Excuse me. Yeah.
First
So,
of
like,
all, that has nothing to do with Trump being a Nazi. That has to do with Nazis being Nazis.
but where were the
I'm not
Nazis?
accusing Trump
under-
being a Nazi. It's
Yeah,
the
she just
argument-
said that he was a xenophobe, racist, sexist, and that
He is
his-
anti-Semitic.
Anti-Semitic. He is not anti-Semitic at all. How is he
Comment it out.
anti-Semitic?
Okay, I'll let this.
Yeah, wait, hold on. I want to ask Ray this question.
When the Charlottesville happened,
Yeah.
you can't say that wasn't I know he was trying to be level, and this is going to be your argument that he was trying to like keep it balanced, but there's
Right.
It's anti-Semitic to say that Nazis are good people and so are the other people like fighting the Nazis. They're both people. They're good people on both sides.
First of all, he didn't say that about Nazis. Dude, that's a total twist. He's saying
what
the
were the
two
people in
sides.
Charlottesville?
The people on the other side and the other side. Literally the two sides. It's not.
There were Nazis marching.
There was Nazis marching, right? He wasn't talking about the fucking Nazis, or he would have addressed.
I'm not saying
the
Nazis in 1942. I'm saying the Nazis in
whatever. You're
2017.
neo-Nazis. Yeah, I get it. I'm not saying that Nazis. I'm saying that Nazis were there. He disregarded the Nazis. He's not talking about the Nazis. He's talking about the two different sides that were there.
But the thing is, like, if I was talking about that, I would make sure to be like, I don't have a problem with people who advocate for First Amendment free speech, but the Nazis, unacceptable. I would make that point. And especially when there's the power as president, you should, of course, be saying, yeah, and there was terrible white nationalists there, and I absolutely disavow that. But the answer that he gave saying, you know, good people on both sides, David Duke was like, see, there he is. He's not saying it, but it's a dog whistle. And that's how the Nazis took it. And the KKK and all of them.
And that's why there's so much, like, open neo-Nazis, like, hanging out in America.
Where? I've never seen a neo-Nazi just hanging out.
The New York Times loves to profile them.
Of course
it's all
they do.
over the place.
Of course they do.
that's his problem.
So I still think that claim is ridiculous. I mean, especially his relationship with Netanyahu and then him going to the wall in Jerusalem. I mean,
being
that's
pro-Israel does not make you.
How?
How? There's a long-standing connection between the United States and Israel, and just because you support Bibi Netanyahu does not make you love the Jewish people.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, and this is still on the same topic.
Yeah.
Would you? Because I'm trying to get to a conclusion that what you just said. Let's say this guy has 3 black friends, right? And then I don't know, let's say something like he did something that would be considered racist in today's world, not, you know, back then. Mm-hmm. Like, just say some stupid shit as a joke, right? Would you consider him a racist?
It depends what
it
the
depends
joke
on the
is.
joke.
Yeah.
Okay, so I still don't think if he's joking about it, then he's not a racist, because by definition, if you're racist against black people, right, you wouldn't have the stomach to even be friends with black people. So the argument goes right out the window that he's a racist. Did he say something stupid, maybe? Yeah. He's not a racist.
Your definition of racist is very narrow.
How would you define it?
It's not only just saying, like, I hate black people, but if you support structural racism and you support... Like, racism is a bigger thing than just...
hating a race?
Yes. It's supporting policies.
No, that's retarded. I mean, it's literally hating. It's hating a group or a race of people.
You're just throwing
There's
out...
so many other nuances.
All right, inform me then. I'm sorry. Inform me what the nuances are of racism, because I obviously do not know.
She talks better than I do.
This is just not... I'm surprised we've gotten to this place, but racism is not just about saying, like, I don't like black people, I can't be near black people.
Okay.
It's supporting policies. It's like the Muslim ban is very racist. It's saying that just because you come from this country that you're a terrorist. It's making assumptions about people based on their race. Okay. It's not just like, well, I hate all the brown people. It's like, oh, because you're from this country, you're gonna do this. It's making it. It's and
like
I'm not.
All Mexicans are.
Yeah, but it's like.
Well, he didn't say that, but.
Oh, what did he not say?
That all Mexicans were rapists. He didn't say that.
They said he's either drug dealers and like.
No, he said Mexico's not. He said they're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending the people over the border illegally. They're worse people. They're selling the drug dealers, the rapists, and he said one more other thing that I forgot.
Okay.
But he didn't say all
Mexican. That's still problematic.
No, but that is problematic because people spin it, and then you guys believe that he said all Mexicans are rapists, and that's where the disinformation comes from because he didn't say that. And we're talking about illegal immigrants. These are people who are already acting, who are already committing acts of crime. Mm-hmm. So no, he didn't say that.
All right, moving on. What were you gonna say?
Racism is just bigger than that, and I'm not.
Right. So I'm asking you. Explain it.
I explained it. I was saying, like,
you said supporting laws. I don't understand what laws are racist and how that makes you a racist. Like, are you saying like supporting a law to hang all black people?
No.
Because yes, that is racist, but I don't understand what laws are racist.
Supporting housing policies that disadvantage black people. Supporting...
First of all, who votes on these housing policies? Because I've never voted on any housing policy.
You're
because,
not a member of Congress.
Right, so that wouldn't consider me a racist because...
But if you support members of Congress
right, but I'm a Trump supporter who votes just on Trump, and Trump doesn't deal with these things, then that doesn't make me a racist. I didn't support the housing thing. I just supported Trump, and then somebody in New York Senate did a housing policy. It doesn't make me a racist. I didn't support that. I'm,
first of all, not calling you a racist. I think...
Well, I'm not saying that you called me a racist. I'm saying in the general public, people say that Trump is a racist, therefore his supporters are racist, or they're Nazis.
What's racist is saying a Mexican judge can't make a fair ruling on the travel ban because they're Mexican. That's racist, and Trump has said that.
Where did you say that?
When there was a travel ban being voted on, and he said this judge isn't able to make this decision because he's Mexican.
He said that verbatim?
He said the essence of that. You can look it up.
I will look it up. I didn't hear that.
I think we should really move on because I'm feeling a little hostile, honestly.
Okay, so let's like move on from racism because that's a hard topic, especially with 3/4 of us.
Well, hold on. I definitely want to address that because I voted for Trump and I have to defend this constantly.
Yeah.
That, therefore I'm a racist, I'm a bigot, I'm a homophobe, I'm all this bullshit that people say. Well, you know I'm not because you know me. That's different, right? But people who don't know me would automatically assume that because I voted for Trump, and then they assume that Trump is the same way. But there's no evidence that he is that way. So even if you take racist,
there's ample evidence that Trump is that way.
Okay, so if he's so racist, then why then when he had his place,
like I have a black friend as
oh no, this is way better. This is way better because it works for both of it. In Palm Beach, he had one of his one of the private clubs, right? And there was an open ban on black people and Jewish people entering the clubs. Trump was 100% advocating for the entrance of blacks and Jews into these clubs. Okay. And he was the only one fighting at that time. This is like in the 1990s. So, again, so you want to talk about supporting policy, just literally advocating for these people to join these groups, being able to join these groups who weren't being let in. How is that anti-Semitic? How is that racist?
See, I do think that Trump, personally, I do think he has racist rhetoric. I do think he has xenophobic.
Right, I want you to tell me that because I haven't seen it. That's what I'm saying. I'm genuinely saying that.
Let me finish my sentence.
Sure.
So I do think that. Do I think he thinks he's a racist? Do I think he thinks he's xenophobe? Mm-hmm. No. Okay. I think he's used to saying whatever the fuck he wants.
Absolutely.
And I think he's used to saying all this like stuff because he doesn't get any consequences, and now he's the president, and he's under a microscope, and everything he says is going to get picked apart either way, on your side or on my side. Yeah. So we see we see the different sides that are racist, that are clearly racist. Okay. Can I explain to you, did I do my research? Because I never do research for this podcast. Right. No, okay. I can't, because I'm supposed to learn on this podcast from people.
Yeah, I want to learn too.
I do. Yeah, of course. And you can come on, I'll do an anti-Trump one. You can come on to that one.
This is an anti-Trump one.
Of course. We're gonna. If we disagree with you, we're obviously gonna.
Right. Okay. So, but
I am genuinely.
No, I understand.
Back to why you voted for Trump.
I just want to know how he's homophobic too. That's the other big one I always hear.
I mean,
because I feel like these are just general statements, and they're just saying it because it's something that people picked up on, and they're just using it, and it doesn't make any sense to me. I've watched the rallies. I've literally watched all of them.
I'd say, again, I can't back this up right now, but I'd say he's more transphobic than homophobic.
Okay. But I'll agree with you there.
But no, let's just move on.
Sure.
So,
okay.
What was I going to say? So, based on everyone else in his administration.
Yeah.
Do you really trust this administration to do what's best for America?
Are you talking about everybody that's not Trump?
Yeah.
I mean, no, because and this is back to what I was saying before, how I don't really class myself as a Republican, and I actually blame Trump for a lot of that because, I just don't like politicians. I mean, that's kind of just the basics of it.
Is that another reason that you think you vote for Trump too, because he's not a politician?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of. I wouldn't say that's like the biggest one, but yeah, it's definitely a part of it. And it's not like I hate politicians or whatever, because I don't know, it's kind of a dumb thing to think. I just, again, I believe more in the smaller government, all that. I don't believe in a lot of the social programs that, exist. I believe that the government, really is for the military and for fiscal, responsibility, stuff like that. But yeah, I just don't like how politicians talk. I don't trust them generally. I think the hill is full of snakes on both sides. Like, I don't fucking like Paul Ryan. I think he's a piece of shit. I don't like him at all. So no, I'm not going to sit here and say Trump is all great. Everybody that he hires is great. I trust everybody that he hires. I trust every Republican on the side that he's on. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So no, I don't trust everybody. I don't think everybody's going to do a great job that he appoints. That's just not how I feel.
Do you actually think that he's trying to help America, be great again?
Yeah.
Or do you think he's trying to help his companies be great again?
Probably both. I mean, he's a businessman. I'm not gonna sit here and act like he doesn't want to be more rich than he is. That's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Do I think he wants to help America? Absolutely. I mean, a lot of the basis he ran on was bringing manufacturing jobs back, having the companies reinvest in America, not foreign countries. So I mean, that in itself is showing that the initiative that I want to help America. I mean, it's America first. That is literally one of his slogans.
Mm-hmm. What does it mean to you to make America great again?
Right.
What was before?
It's a good question. So what that vague term means, to make America great again, is that along the line, somewhere we stopped giving a shit about a lot of the illegal immigration that was coming in, a lot of the lower end jobs like construction that I work, the physically demanding jobs, a lot of the manufacturing jobs that can be outsourced to cheap labor. I mean, it happens. And then on the other side, of the higher side, like the STEM field and stuff like that, we're letting in a lot of the Asians come here and work in that sense. I think it's more of that a lot of the people, you know what, actually, I want to say it's less of the white collar and more of the blue collar, because that's kind of where it hit home, and that's why a lot of those states that were usually Democrat voted for Trump. It's because somewhere along the line we forgot about them, because I think it's the big push with college and go to college, get a good job, which is, it is important. I'm not saying it's not, but somewhere along the line we forgot about everybody else, and a lot of his message was getting those people back to work, getting the root cause, the root of America back to work. Because yeah, you can go to college and you can get a job just like all of us did here, but then you have the farmers and you have coal miners, obviously, and whatever. I'm just saying general labor jobs that you need, or manufacturing jobs. That's kind of where it was make America great again, where things can say made in USA, right? And stuff like that. Just having general pride for your country, that you want, even though it's cheaper to go to China, because first of all, China has their currency manipulation, so and all that. So to make shit in China, right? Like Dane obviously knows a lot about this.
Sure.
To make shit in China, you can get it like it's nothing. Like I literally just looked up some manufacturing for the thing that I was doing with Dane. To manufacture in China is so cheap versus like if you were to make it here, right? And it's not the root of it, and this is where I think it gets spun a little bit, where it's, oh, we hate the Chinese, we don't want the shit from the Chinese. No, it's that we're in our own home, that I want to help my family first. I don't know, maybe that's just my view. Okay, yeah. Because I know, like, if I'm going to take it on a smaller scale, right? If somebody said to me, I don't want to say anything bad about my family, but like if something bad happened to my family and something bad happened to somebody else's family, right? Like right down the road. And somebody says to me, oh, you have a choice. You can either help that family or you can help your family. I mean, obviously I'm going to help my family. I have a connection to my family, sure, where I don't have as big as a connection to the people down the road. Yeah. So the whole message is, you're American, these are Americans. Your first connection is with the Americans, not with the Chinese, right? That are manufacturing cheaper. So a lot of people would like to see that things are made in America, right? And obviously that's going to be real hard because the cost of doing business is too expensive as far as like as how the Chinese can do it, right?
Yeah.
But that's sort of like the sentiment. Like you just want to see Americans be helped first, versus our government doing things that aid other countries first.
Okay.
So I have two things on that.
Wait, can we hold
Yeah.
for a sec? It's like a weird background.
It sounds like a marching band is
Yeah, it's a
going
marching
by.
band.
Oh, are you kidding me?
I don't know, is that
You
really
picked
what's
that up?
happening?
I don't
It's like
know.
they didn't know I was recording a podcast right now.
It's like a little
No, it
background
sounded
music.
like, yeah, I couldn't really tell. Okay, go on.
So I think there's two things on that. When it comes to people, so I have a hard time because a lot of Republicans are like, we need more jobs, but then they also say job growth and the percentage of people having jobs, like the biggest jobs ever, and then like I feel like Trump has big jobs, and so how can there simultaneously be the middle of the country who has no jobs and the lowest unemployment in however many years? So that's one of the
Lowest
issues.
unemployment, that's a good thing. What do you mean?
It is a good thing. So why are we complaining about not having enough jobs? You're saying
we're talking about pre-Trump. Pre-Trump,
these
it
jobs
wasn't
did
this
not
way.
all just to imply that in the last how long it's been 2.5 years
About something like that.
and to say that all the job economics, I don't have to tell you this, that doesn't move that quickly. The result
I know.
of years of practices happen. So it's just to attribute all of this economic growth, job growth to just Donald Trump is just.
All right, well, let me ask you
Bill
a
Clinton's
question.
not responsible for the economic growth in the late 90s. That was responsible for Bush 1.
Well, let me ask you a question, because I've looked into this extensively. What would you attribute the economic growth now from? And I don't want you to just say Obama. I want you to tell me, what you think it's from.
I would not be able to give you a good answer on that.
Okay, all right. Would you like me to tell you what
Sure.
I've
I'm gonna
researched?
take it with a grain of salt for sure.
You can
'cause
take it with a
really
little fucking
taken-
pepper and lime too, whatever you want.
taken,
So,
You're the special guest. Go ahead.
Before Trump, obviously, and I don't blame Obama a lot. My problem comes from like the Federal Reserve, and it wasn't just Janet Yellen. It was a lot of the quantitative easing, which I'm gonna assume that nobody listening knows what quantitative easing is.
You should explain it.
Explain
Okay,
it.
so what QE is, and it was introduced by Ben Bernanke of the Federal Reserve, right, the chairman of the Fed. This happened during the 2008 financial crash, where everything got fucked up because everybody was dumb, essentially, right? Just in a vague sense.
dumb.
Dumb. So what Ben Bernanke did was lowered interest rates to near zero, which is historically fucking insane, right? It's because like in the 80s, I think the interest rates were around like 10%, something like that. And this is just interest rate on loaning out money, so like from bank to bank, the Fed fund rate. If anybody wants to look that up. So essentially, what that was designed to do is we had a fucked up economy. So we lowered interest rates, because when interest rates are lower, people take out loans. When people take out loans, they're spending more money. When there's more money circulating in the economy grows. Blech, right? So that was the first part of the QE, right? The second part of the QE was pumping money from the Fed into the market, right? So we're talking about synthetic money, bullshit money that's not coming organically. It's being pumped into the economy, okay? So now you have low interest rates, you have fake money being pumped into the economy, and nobody's taking out loans, okay? So you have this long economic period where growth is stagnant, right? So if you look at any of the growth in the Obama year, again, not saying it's Obama's fault, I blame the Fed, right? And obviously it wasn't Obama's fault because the crash happened pre-Obama,
Yeah.
right at the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not here shitting on Obama. I'm shitting on the Fed. So the Federal Reserve, if anybody wants to look it up, that's what I mean by Fed. Yeah. The growth was stagnant, right? And if you looked at any of the data, that this stagnant, I mean, not stagnant, that's the wrong word. What would you call that? Like a slow decline? What would
You're
you
going
say?
up.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, sorry. A slow
it's going up.
incline. That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
What would you call it? It's not stagnation. Whatever. It's growing slow. That's what I'm
Increase?
trying to fucking say, all right? So,
Yeah, increase.
Inflation, are you talking about?
no, not inflation. That's something different. I'm talking about the general growth of the economy.
Okay, I'm sorry, I lost
Right.
focus.
No, it's all right.
I realized what time it was, and I was like,
I know.
Yeah, it's
Finance
okay.
is
I
boring.
figured
It's
we'd
all
go
right.
through whatever.
So essentially, when you look at the data, that the economy is growing at a slow and steady rate, but nobody's spending the money, right? So where's it coming from? It's coming from the banks. It's coming from Goldman Sachs. It's coming from JP Morgan. It's all the banks doing the business, right? So that's not the real economy. The real economy is not spending money.
Yeah.
Right? So now you have this propped up economy, and I think it was, God damn it, what's his name? Alan Greenspan, right? And he's talking about interest rates and how you create a bubble and blah, 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 right? So I know, like me and my brother, we were worried about a bubble happening because we were looking at how low the interest rates have been for like 16 years, because even before Bernanke, before Obama, in who's that guy? Bush, right? In the Bush era, they dropped interest rates after September 11th too. So anyway, we have this long period of low interest rates, and I was worried about a bubble. And essentially, what happened was that when Trump was running, okay, he was talking about bringing business back to America, right? He's bringing the jobs back to America. He's bringing the money back to America. Whatever, right? His general message. If you know finance or you know investing at all, a lot of it is human psychology. I mean, that's it. I mean, I can look at charts all day. I can pull up financials. Most of it is like news driven. It's how people are feeling. That's really it, right? So even if you're looking at financials, how do you feel about it, right? You're going to vote based off your feeling. I mean, not vote. You're going to invest based off your feeling. So there's a lot of a sentiment that America's going to boom. Like everything, like Trump is pro-America. Everywhere else is going to be, disregarded, and everybody's going to put their money into America. And that's exactly what investors did, even sovereign investors. Everybody started investing. That's why the Dow Jones, which holds all the industrial stocks, he's talking about American steel, all that, right? Manufacturing, boom. That's why that surged so much after, it dropped, I forgot how much, election night, and then once he got into office, it surged. That's the whole point. So even him growing the economy, bringing back the jobs, right? Because he's gotten Ford to come back and invest, I think, like $7 billion into the company in America. There's like 3 other companies that were big like that did the same thing. So you have all these companies bringing those jobs back to America, right? And hiring Americans. And yes, the manufacturing jobs have come back, like in that Rust Belt. So you're seeing, let's say maybe that doesn't make everything better, or the unemployment rate altogether, but now you have real investors investing in the economy for the first time. Not the first time, but you know what I mean. Like you have all these, God damn it, I forgot the word for it. Private investors. You don't know. I'm asking you.
I don't know. Don't look at me.
Like you and I, we're investing in the markets. That's what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So now the economy is booming because of that. That's where that is attested to.
Okay. Well, I personally have one last question, and then we'll go to the questions from everybody else, the outside questions, and then we'll wrap up.
Right. How long has this been so far?
It's been like an hour and 20.
Damn, I want the longest podcast.
Oh, you might get it.
One.
So, objectively speaking, or subjectively?
Objectively. I know you're asking. Yeah, you're asking objectively.
What would you say Trump's faults are? Like, if you were, outsider looking in, what obviously you already are. What would you, objectively speaking, say his faults are as of his whole presidency and of his character, or whatever you want, however you want to rag on him? I'm here for it.
He's fat.
That's it. That's all. Come on. Don't be a twat.
He was the healthiest president ever to...
No way, I don't believe that.
No, I'm just joking.
No, there's no way.
That's what he claims.
I forget the man's name.
Yeah, I could see him doing that. So you know what? I'll say based off that, like he definitely gasses himself. That's definitely his character. I mean, I'm not
stable genius.
Yeah, I'm not really into that. I mean, you know me personally. I don't like that. I don't like that shit. Really, you're gonna be cocky about things. It's either you're good and you take it humbly, and
He's definitely not humble.
Yeah, he's not humble. I would say that doesn't make me hate him though, and actually in certain points that makes me love him. Depends, and that's actually one thing I didn't say before. That
we were talking about his negatives.
Yeah, let me add this first though, because I didn't get a chance to say this.
Sure, yeah.
Because I actually do think this was a big part of why a lot of people voted for him. Is that he says whatever the fuck he wants, and I know a person like my father, my dad loved that.
Yeah.
Like, because it's just a time like where you have to restrict what you say, or have to kind of be careful what you say, because you're going to offend somebody, or you're going to piss somebody off, or whatever the situation might be. Where he kind of just got up there and he was like, "Yeah, fuck you. I'm going to say whatever I want."
In a PC world, he's not PC.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody was like they almost shit their pants when they heard him open his mouth, because they're like, "I can't believe this guy's saying that." I mean, I did that too. When I heard him talk, I was like, I cannot believe what he just said.
Yeah.
But that also made me like him, right? So because, so even like leaders that I like Theodore Roosevelt. He's my favorite president. And then I'll just look at, not that I like Winston Churchill, but like I've looked up things on Winston Churchill. He's kind of funny. He was very brash. Like, so I kind of go towards that route. Like, I like people who say whatever they want. They don't restrict themselves. If you don't like it,
being friends with Dane Bull, yeah.
Yeah, Dane is definitely brash. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like, Dane, and you didn't know Dane in middle school or high school.
I didn't. Probably for
Dane shit on some people. I'm not gonna out Dane, but Dane shit on some people. All right.
I'm not surprised in the least.
But yeah, so I mean that was definitely a big part of it. I think a lot of people took that as a negative, but in the same breath, a lot of people enjoyed that, because it was like he was a breath of fresh air in that sense.
Okay.
But some negatives, I don't want to avoid the question.
Yeah.
Definitely, he's not humble. Let's see. I'm trying to think. You can give me ideas if you want. I'm trying to think.
Listen, the list would go on and on. So let's just get to the questions, maybe.
Okay. Ask all of them.
So starting off, Charles asks.
Oh, you're gonna say their names?
No, probably not all of them.
All right.
I just know he won't care. What is your opinion on the Trump administration? In the Trump administration's active/constant spin tactics. So can you explain again what the spin tactics he means by spin tactics?
I assume he's talking about Sarah Huckabee Sanders at the I have a hard time talking about it objectively, because she says untruths.
Yes.
But the way that the administration spins what he says, and
right.
there's frequently he's like, I didn't say that, and then it comes out, I did say that,
right,
and then it's like, well, but I didn't mean it that way, and then it's like, actually no, I was talking about the FBI, I fucked the FBI, and
right.
so it's I think that's what the essence of that
okay.
is.
I mean, my response to that, I don't fucking know. I mean, everybody has a fucking spin team. Like, that's just the way it works in politics.
Sound better. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I can't defend everything he says, and neither can the people that work for him. It's just the way it is. Like, if
he's definitely a wild card, so probably.
Oh, he's 100% a wild card.
Spinning and lying. It's very frequently.
Yeah, but again, I don't know what he's lying about. That's what I had to hear. Like, you have to give me an example.
A good example would be, I didn't fire James Comey because of the investigation,
right.
the special, all that stuff. I didn't say that.
Right.
And Sarah Huckabee Sanders said she didn't say it. Everyone's like, he didn't say that, he didn't say it. And then when stuff came out more that it was like Comey had all these contemporaneous things and they were talking about, he's like, well, I did fire him. He was talking to Lester Holt. There was that famous interview where he was just like, well, I did fire him because of that.
Right.
And it's like, I feel like it seems like you like him because you feel like he's very authentic. And that, to me, he lies frequently.
You can still be authentic and lie. I mean, it's...
How?
It's just everything with your tone of voice. I mean, even if you lie, sometimes you can still be authentic. You think...
What do you define authenticity as?
You have a lot of faith in humanity if you think everybody's... if somebody can be purely authentic and not lie ever.
What do you define authenticity as? Because it's not tone of voice.
No, it's what he says and the message he brings and the feeling behind it. It's more of a... like the Americanism thing. That's what I mean. So he's talking about how he loves America. That, to me, that's authentic. I can feel that. I could hear it in his voice. I could see by what he does.
Okay, so you're saying the values that he has lines up with what he's saying.
So in the case of James Comey, I mean, probably he was lying. I mean, I don't know. but to me, that still doesn't deter me from, like why I voted for him. Because again, everybody, every politician, especially any president, they lie and they have the team like Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who I actually don't know a lot about, who are literally there to spin shit. And he is a wild card because he says whatever the fuck he wants. Mm-hmm. So he definitely needs that team to kind of be there for the people who
to make him sound better.
For the people who kind of need the structure in what he's saying versus like just hearing the brash shit he says. Mm-hmm. He kind of needs that. So I mean, what was the question? What are my feelings for the spin
what
tactics?
is your opinion on the administration act of constant spin tactics?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's going to be the same for every president. So my feeling is that that's just the way politics works. And again, I'm not defending that. I'm not saying that everything he says is truthful. So
okay, all right. So the next question is, why and how can you support someone so openly racist and sexist? We did
again. He's not racist, and I don't believe he's sexist in the same sense that you guys think he's sexist. Mm-hmm. Again, like we could talk about the reporter and grab the pussy thing. That is let's say a sexist sentence, what he said, because the act itself, like I can pretty much get any woman I want. You can classify that as misogyny or whatever, but like I said, every guy talks that way, especially really only when they're around just guys, because that's just how guys are. It's a brotherhood thing. Like that's how you talk to each other.
I think we should do that.
And then on the same sense, he hires a lot of women executives in all of his companies. So in the same breath, I don't think he is sexist because, again, to my definition, if you're doing something to help women, right, and you want to classify him as a sexist, in my opinion, he is not a sexist because he's doing things openly for women. So that doesn't classify him as a sexist to me.
All right, moving on.
Ask every question. Right?
I am asking every question.
Yeah.
What evidence and from what source would convince you that Trump hasn't colluded, What evidence and from what source would convince you that Trump colluded with Russia?
Right. I know who asked this question. And that's actually a good question because if I really think about it, and I know I'm biased because I know I let's just say he gets fucking arrested, right? Or he gets indicted, right?
Yeah. Say that did happen.
Yeah, right,
How
exactly.
would you react?
Oh, I'd be so pissed. I'd be so pissed because, for a couple of reasons, that now I don't get my Trump president, right? Because that's one. Two, that...
my Trump.
Right, exactly.
A snowflake.
Two, yeah, we can talk about that if you want.
I don't want to talk
Yeah,
about
because I can
that.
get into that if you want to bring that up.
Not.
And that... I don't know, that it was allowed to happen, that it actually did happen. So it would be more of like a shock value, like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe that actually happened. So what source would I believe? I literally would have to be like the FBI indicting him. I feel like that's really the only way to ever figure something out is like, so if you go to trial, right, for a crime you committed, if you go to jail, essentially, if the jury decides after all the evidence is provided that you're guilty and the judge decides that that's it, you're going to jail because you fucking murdered that guy, let's just say it, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to jail. You did it, right? They have evidence. So really, I don't know. He would really just have to be indicted and just be done. And then I'd be like, yeah, there's no way I can't fight it. He's done. He did it.
Red-handed, yeah.
Yeah, right.
So legally, it's unclear whether or not a sitting president can be indicted. That's a big debate that's been going on in policy circles. And it's like with Bill Clinton, it was that Kenneth Starr recommended, I believe he recommended impeachment, or he recommended that Congress look into it. That would be the likely outcome if the Robert Mueller decides, like, through all of his work that, we believe he committed these crimes, we have evidence for that, but he didn't formally indict him because it's unclear that he could necessarily be indicted. What would you say if he said he recommended this go to Congress? Like, because the thing is, the FBI can't.
Right.
The problem with impeachment is that it's a political process. So,
I'm well aware of that.
If Mueller was to say, we absolutely believe he did these crimes, we have evidence of this, but the Republicans, like, where would you feel after that? Like, would you wait until? Because it is a political. You don't understand the question
No, I
I'm
get
getting
it.
at?
So I don't know. The thing is, and this is why this election fucked everything up for like how I believe in things, and with a lot of people too, not just me, is that. You just look at a lot of things and you just don't you don't trust it. Like, I know you guys, you look at Trump, you don't trust anything he says. And I look at a lot of the things that I hear, that aren't from Trump, and I don't trust it. I think everybody right now is in a time of distrust. Yes. I don't think it's just one side. I think everybody distrusts something, all to do with politics right now.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't even know. I couldn't even answer this question. I really don't have an answer because, like, in my heart, I want to trust the FBI. I want to trust the CIA. But I even know that there's rogue agents that do things. Like, let's take the, I forgot who's president, but it was like the cocaine era where they were shipping drugs in, right? That was being done by the CIA. But it wasn't being done by the CIA. It was being done by the rogue agents in the CIA. So, I don't know. I really don't have an answer for that.
Okay. Moving on. Leah asks, who hurt you?
Leah asked me that? I don't know who Leah is, but...
you wouldn't, yeah.
Leah hurt me.
By asking who hurt you. Someone asks, do you think it's okay when people use MAGA in a racist context?
Right. Okay. So I don't think using anything in a racist context is right, but I haven't seen MAGA used in a racist context. Like I say MAGA all the time, especially like when I'm with my group of friends. That doesn't make me racist.
So like when
and
people
especially being nationalist, which I am, right? That doesn't make me racist either. I love America. I want America to succeed. Do I think America is the best country in the world? Like, are we better than everybody else at everything? No. But do I think we're the best country in the world? Yes. Same thing like how I view my family, right? My family's not perfect. The things we do aren't perfect. Do I think I have the best family in the world? Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I don't think it's going from someone just wearing a MAGA hat. And I think what she's trying to say is, like, say when people are fighting for the Confederate flag is innately racist. That's a racist thing. That's like, I don't even want to fight about that. That's racist.
I don't even know how to fight about it because I haven't looked into that. So.
Okay. Well, and so when people are fighting against the Confederate flag and a bunch of white people are fighting against to keep the Confederate flag and a bunch of black people are fighting against them and
right.
say the people, this is a hypothetical,
okay.
But say like the people are saying like, we'll make America great again. Like we're going to keep the Confederate flag up because it has all this history against, And so, like, in a context where someone would be like,
right,
make America great again.
Okay, so you're talking about like
oppress you
if they're talking about like black
America
people,
great,
like
great
a black guy
again.
and a white guy fighting, and then he just out of nowhere because he's pissed off, he says, fuck you, make America great again.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Then obviously that's wrong, but you get that on both sides, and it's not. I'm not saying that Democrats and liberals are saying, oh yeah, make America great again. Yeah. Everybody says stupid racist shit on both sides, whether you're black, Chinese, fucking Indian, Italian. I'm not innocent.
Oppressed people.
I'm not innocent. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But you just
I think what she means. So the way that I interpret that is a little bit differently. I think so. When we asked you, like, when I asked what you mean by "Make America Great Again,"
right.
You gave me a definition that I really haven't heard from any other people. Usually, what I hear is like, we want the country to be back the way it was, and usually the implication behind that for a lot of people. Laura Ingraham's a great example.
I think that's the way you take it. You take it as like,
you don't think that there's
make
white
America
people,
white again, shit like that.
You don't think that people believe that?
No, I'm not saying I don't think people believe that. I think that the whole thing was purposely skewed out of context, where it's back in the old days, like when everything was made in America, when production was efficient.
I know what you think.
No, that's what most people think.
I don't think you can speak for most people.
I think I can, because that's why a lot of people voted for Trump.
You're for most people in New York, in upstate New York.
First of all,
we're in New York.
First of all, I'm in New York and I believe this.
People are a little racist in New York at sometimes. I obviously can't speak for every New Yorker, but in generally speaking, people aren't as racist as they are in Middle America, as they are in the South, there's a lot more to America, and so I just feel like there's a lot of people in America that want America, like, do air quotes, like pure.
Right. I just think that's a maniacal way to think, because you're assuming that that's the way they're thinking just because they're from the middle of the country.
I'm also assuming the way that other Trump, like, I just think this conversation has just made me feel like you really just discredit like social science, and there's
What do you mean
lot
by
of,
social science?
like we were talking about like hate crimes and people tracking.
Yeah, you know why? Because I don't focus on all that social shit, because to me it doesn't matter. Because I think socially where we've come, like with actual rights, I'm not saying people hating each other, because let's be honest, people are gonna hate each other no matter what. You're not gonna stop that. I think as far as actual civil rights, you and I, Ray,
Technically
you
have the same
and I
rights.
are no different.
Yeah,
like
technically
we have the same rights.
Technically.
Not technically, we have the same rights.
Okay.
In a literal sense, we have the same rights.
Okay. Whatever. I'm not gonna talk about it. Moving, but yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. Are we done
I'm
here?
good.
Okay.
I don't know. Is that all the questions?
No. This is the one that you liked. Is economic reform more important to you than social reform? Why are dollars
Yeah, I think I
more
just
than,
answered that.
Yeah.
But why I don't
dollars
see,
over people?
Yeah, I don't like that assumption that just because I want business to flourish that I value dollars over people. Again, this goes back to my upbringing. First of all, if you're promoting economic prosperity, it's because you want people to do good, right?
Yeah.
That's not anti-people. That doesn't make sense. So the fact that I value money over people is not true. But in the same sense, in a lot of the social aspects, again, I have a very low tolerance to bullshit. Not saying that there are people out there that aren't struggling, because there 100% are, right? Again, I just believe you should take ownership of your situation. There's obviously the group of people that can't do things for themselves, whether they're disabled, whatever the circumstance is. And I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about able-bodied people who can get up and go to work and figure it out for themselves, who have a brain, an IQ over, I don't know, what's the fucking limit? I think it's 80. Your IQ is 80. If you have an IQ over 80, you can make it work. I guess maybe I have a bad heart. I don't know what it is, but that's just the way I was raised, that you
definitely don't.
You go to work, you don't complain, and you figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
So
it's more tough love than you have a bad.
Yeah, definitely
I
tough
feel like
love.
I do know you, and
yeah, and like I said,
I just really don't want people to listen to this and hate you.
Right.
Even though
Honestly,
they will.
I don't care, because I literally, because like I said, I used to work in New York City, and as a closeted Trump supporter, right?
Yeah.
I don't mean like I'm gay and I'm a Trump supporter. I mean like,
yeah, no one fucking thinks you're gay. Believe me.
How you talk about women.
So, what's it called? The way I heard people talk about me, not knowing that who I was, that kind of was an eye opener. That the people who are for the same tolerance and social shit that they preach aren't really, because it only applies to what they believe in, not to the other side. Where it's like, I know my personal views, like where as far as like let's say like gay marriage, right? I don't fucking hate gay people. I have no reason to hate gay people.
Right.
I have no problems with gay people at all.
Yeah.
Right. But when it comes to like my views on it, I'll never say that I don't think gay marriage should be like illegal, right? Because I don't care. You do what you want. Does that mean I'm gonna openly advocate for gay marriage? No. It's just not, because I don't care about it. I care about business. I care about the protection of our country. That's really what I care about. So I don't know. Do I value dollars over people? No, I just value economic prosperity over social issues.
Okay. And the last question is, why are you such a dumb fuck?
I don't know. I hope I prove that I'm as dumb as whoever asked me that. Thanks.
He's smart. Well, he's on the podcast too, and he has quite the opposite view of you, so you can listen to that one.
Okay, I will.
So I think I learned a lot as to what your views are. I know you.
Yeah.
I don't hate you.
Thank you.
I don't hate all Trump supporters. I know other Trump supporters that are lovely. I think, I don't know, what did you take away from this other than things that you don't like about Nico?
No, it's not that I didn't learn, to be honest. Everything you said is something I've heard about and I've heard people say, and the only thing that surprised me is the way you interpret Make America Great Again, because that's just not what I've heard other Trump supporters describe it as. But I mean, you're
Yeah, but
entitled
what Trump
to your
supporters
views.
are you talking to? That's what I'm curious about.
See, why I wanted you on, because most Trump supporters that I know are like, well, he's a big fucking businessman. He's great at business in fucking Benghazi.
He absolutely is.
Yeah, I don't fucking care, Nico. I'm just saying. Like,
saying.
that's
That's
like,
Outro. We're not going back into it.
I'm ready to go at all times, so.
yeah. So, but yeah, This was a good. I think it was a good episode.
Yeah, all right, I hope so. I hope you get
I think this is the only episode any of your
5,000
friends will
followers.
listen to.
No, they'll probably listen. I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for all my friends, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, one of my questions is, would you vote for Trump in 2020?
Hell yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if there's someone that you like better?
I doubt it. Because, again, that goes back to how he changed my views on, like, politicians. And that was actually one thing I didn't say. Like, after Trump, I don't know how I'm going to vote. Mm-hmm. So let's say he's out of it. Like, let's just, even if he wins second term or not, like, he's out of it, right?
Yeah.
And 2 new people are running. I don't even know if I'm going to, like, vote anymore. I don't know how to vote. That's the thing. I'm so...
I think he's changed the game a lot.
He changed the game, and now I'm so confused
for better or for worse, of
on
course.
who I would actually trust. I don't know. I don't like the Hill. Really don't think a lot of good people work there. I'm not saying that everybody's bad there, but like politicians in general. I'm talking about Republicans and Democrats. I'm not talking about just Democrats. Like, I think my number one enemy over there is probably like Paul Ryan. I just don't like that guy. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be biased when I say that. Like, I don't know I don't know how I'm going to vote when it comes after Trump.
So let's do last comments before we wrap up.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any last words you want to say, you or Elena?
I will just say, for anyone that I know that's listening that might be wondering why I didn't push back on certain things hard enough, is this is about Nico's views, and there's a lot of things that I definitely would have wanted, if we had more time, I would have wanted to challenge you on a lot of other things.
It's a whole different podcast.
Yeah, but it's just that this isn't about me, and I just want to make that clear that, like, there's a lot of things that I had problems with that you've said that I didn't get to go into, and I don't want it to be taken as, I think it's okay.
Likewise, I mean,
just that it's not about me.
Likewise, I want this podcast to be about learning from other people that are not in my world, and learning from things that I really don't get. I wholeheartedly still don't really understand.
I get it.
But I just want to learn from you because I do respect you, and I do respect humans as a whole for the most part. You know, if a human being is talking to me, I'm going to treat them as human beings. So, and that's kind of what I wanted to gain back with this podcast. Like, I want people to hear people instead of fight people and bite each other's heads off. So,
all right. So I guess my last comments would be that for anybody who really doesn't understand like why Trump won, and I worked with all of them, like all 102 people at the company I worked at, were all against me, obviously. And after the election, you know, I saw grown adults crying and shit, and they just really didn't understand how Trump won. And this is the last thing I want to say, and I hope it doesn't start another debate, but so I'll try to say it as nice as I possibly can. I think it's less to do with, not less, but like it's not so much of what the Republican or what Trump did to gain it, but it's what a lot of the new age liberalism has done that caused this. So a lot of
the extremists.
Yeah, and you could probably blame the news for only pushing that shit, but yeah, I would say most of the Trump supporters, not most of America, sorry, voted because they didn't care about a lot of the social aspects either. They just wanted what was good for their family and for the economy to start booming again, get the jobs back, whatever it was. That's sort of the sentiment. I think if you're liberal and you really don't understand,
it's mostly
I would say
economic
look into that
rather than social.
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't start classifying it because you're making it worse by classifying everybody as racist and homophobes who voted for Trump, and obviously the guy that they're gung-ho about you're keep attacking. It's more of that you keep fighting shit that a lot of people don't have, like they don't care. It's not on their top priority list, and it's just annoying them. Whereas they're trying to focus on this, and the new wave of liberals, we'll call them the extremists, are focusing on this, and this is kind of what the news is focusing on. It's kind of pissing everybody off.
Well, I can say a lot on that probably, but it's almost been 2 hours, so I'm not gonna. And
I need to pee so bad.
And Elena needs to pee, and there's a marching band in the back.
Yeah.
I love you both a lot.
Uh-huh.
Even though you're a Trump supporter, I'll
you.
always love you.
I love you guys too.
Okay.
Even though I just met Elena, like.
All right. Signing off.
Bye.